Hey, what's slicing everybody? Chris back with CAC Knives here, and today we're mostly just going to have a knife discussion video here. And this video is primarily focused about selling knives on Whatnot. And I have some strong opinions about it, and I'm kind of wanting to know if other people have similar strong opinions about it or not. The reason these two knives are here, this one, haven't even done well, I did the unboxing video, I haven't posted it yet. But these are the two knives that I've gotten on Whatnot. And this one's kind of irrelevant. This one was out before it was on Whatnot. I requested this one, but it's just sitting up here because I bought it on Whatnot. This knife is the knife that I want to talk about. And it's a good example for all other knives moving forward about how I think selling on Whatnot is going to create an issue. And I think it already is, and it maybe has been for a while. But I just got into it, and I see a lot of issues with it. And I'm kind of wanting to know other people's opinions and if they have issues on the same thing. Now, Whatnot's very cool. It's another way for sellers to sell their knives. It's a way for buyers to sometimes, and I'm going to heavily emphasize this sometimes, get knives at a discount. And we can talk about that first. Something I seen the other day, and we're kind of mentioning two issues at once here, is not this knife, but there was another knife, a Damascus knife. And I'm not going to call any channel out because they probably all do it. Like all the knife channels on Whatnot probably do similar things. Not exactly the same thing, but they do similar things, right? There was a knife sold out on their website, and they put the knife out for bid for $20 cheaper. They did this about 30 times. Remember, this is a knife that they said on their website was sold out with a price tag for $60. It was available on their website. It isn't available now. But here they have 30 of them on Whatnot. Huh. So they weren't sold out. They just wanted to put them on Whatnot and claim that they're sold out and then sell a bunch of them. No joke. They sold at least 30. They probably sold more than that, honestly. They kept it running at a fast-paced auction for about 10 seconds, so people didn't have much time to go look how much they actually cost. Well, I did. These people were bidding up to $145 for this knife that they originally sold on their site for $60. That they still could have been selling on their site for $60, but instead they're over at Whatnot selling it now for $140. Now again, I'm not going to say the knife because it was an exclusive knife to them, and then you're going to know who it was, and I'm not going to say who it was because I think they all do a similar thing, and that is not fair. But what I am going to say is, to me, that's shady. That is a shady business practice. That is a shady business model, and I'm kind of worried about that going forward because there's a lot of big names on Whatnot. I mean, almost all the major knife sellers are on Whatnot at this point. I don't think Knife Center has one yet. And I say yet because I would not be surprised if it comes eventually, right? I don't think White Mountain Knives has one yet. I'm trying to think of all the major sellers that are out there, right? But a lot of the other big sellers in the knife community have one. And 30 more people that might have wanted this knife when it released to the website weren't able to get it because they saved them for the Whatnot show where they sold them for twice as much as they were selling them for on the website. The actual company. Now, if it was just a random person on the secondary market, I would have zero issue with this. But here's the thing. A lot of these knife companies, like take Civivi, for example. Civivi sets prices high and low that you're allowed to sell their knife for. Many times it's called the MAP price. You can't sell the knife for more or less than that, right? But Whatnot kind of gets around that issue, right? It allows them to start an auction, and the auction can go up to as high as they want. And these knife companies can sell these knives for as much as they want. Now, this does go a different direction, right? These knives can sell for less. I was able to get my Civivi Elementum, this exact one, for $65 before it even released, which I'm actually going to talk about that as well here in a second. But I'd never seen this knife before. I tuned into Smoky Mountain Knife Works show because, of course, you're going to know this is from them because this is their exclusive. But I'd never seen it before. And this was, I was very new to Whatnot. I still kind of am, but I'm already seeing the issues with it. And I was like, whoa, what is that? What is that Civivi knife? I've never seen it advertised. I went to Civivi's website, and it wasn't on there. I went to Smoky Mountain Knife Works website, and it wasn't on there yet. They hadn't even shown pictures of this yet. This was just something on the Whatnot show. And then they said it's a limited run, and there wasn't very many of them in the last time I was involved with the Smoky Mountain Knife Works limited runs, which was a CRKT Tuna with a flame job done by the CEO and a Kershaw Lieb. Both of those were very limited. The Kaiser Lieb. It was limited to 100 pieces, half of which they sold at Blade Show, half of which they got online. I was very lucky to have gotten one of those. The CRKT with the flame, you know, they probably only made max 20 of those. They never said how many of those existed, but I'm lucky to have gotten both of those knives. So I was sitting here like, oh no, this is going to be a very limited run. And it is a limited run, not as limited. There's 500 of these. But here's the thing. I watched a few Smoky Mountain Knife Works shows, and they had to have sold at least 50 of these just while I was watching on all the shows to customers. Now, you might be sitting here thinking at home, well, there's 500 of them, so 50 is nothing. Well, I didn't watch every Smoky Mountain Knife Works show, for one. That's the first issue. So there was probably more than 50 of these sold before they were even released to the website. So having 500 originally, you're now knocked down to, let's say 400. Let's say they sold 50 more. So now their 500 pieces is down to 400. Well, at that point, it's going to be first come, first serve. But that's the thing. How is that fair to all the people that do everything right? They subscribe to the newsletter. They sign up for notifications. They're ready. And then, luckily, as far as I know, there are still a few of these left, but there probably isn't many. But anyway, if this had been a knife that was going to sell out within the first 30 seconds, within the first minute, 100 people were able to get it just because they watched their Whatnot show. And this was a knife that wasn't even out yet. How is that fair? I don't see how that's fair. And a lot of people at home, you know, you guys are probably thinking, well, you know, just watch the Whatnot show. For a knife that's not even released, nobody even knew this was going to be on the Whatnot show. Why would they watch a show that's going to have a new version of a knife on there that nobody even knows about? How would they know to watch it? By this logic, we're going to have to watch all the knife, you know, the Whatnot shows of all the knife channels to be able to make sure we get special exclusives. And to me, that is messed up. I do not agree with that. And I think these are major issues. And furthermore, these knife companies give each other their exclusives to use on their Whatnot shows. So that's eliminating even more that the public can buy, because guess what? I saw this knife being used as a giveaway on another Whatnot's channel. Now, I don't know if they bought it or it was donated. I don't know that. But what I do know is how many of these pieces were taken away from just the general public that doesn't have Whatnot, that's done everything the same way that they have for years. How many of these pieces were eliminated from people to be able to buy them just because of all of these things with Whatnot? I'm going to guess a lot. Okay? And I'm going to guess it's a lot. Now, is Whatnot good for, you know, what's the word? Whatnot is good for getting deals a lot of the time, because both of these knives I got for less than they cost on the websites, and that's great. I saved about $10 on each of these knives, actually, for compared to what they go on the websites. And that's great. And that's awesome. And, you know, you could sit at home and be like, well, there's people that were betting $140 on a knife that cost $60, should have done their research. But that's the thing. These people were acting like this knife was, you know, it was sold out when in fact, was it? You had 30 of them right there. Why not just allow 30 people to have the chance to go to your website and each one of them buy it? And instead, you're sitting it here in a Whatnot auction trying to make sure that they bid out for the highest price. It sounds very shady to me. Things become valuable and go up in price after they're sold from the companies that are selling them for their base price. That's how it works. You don't see, you know, Pokemon selling singles of Charizard. And I mean, that's just the example that popped into my head. But it's a good example, right? Because Charizards, when you open a pack of Pokemon cards and you pull a Charizard out, that pack costs you, you know, $4, $5. And now that you pulled the Charizard out, that was very worth it, you know? But Pokemon isn't selling the Charizard cards as singles. Could they make more money doing that? Yes and no. So in that respect, I guess it's not the same because Pokemon wants people to buy packs to try to pull the Charizard, right? And in that way, they do make more money. But could they just print off 500 Charizards and sell each Charizard for $1,000 and, you know, like $500,000? Of course they could, but they don't, because that would be kind of a shady business practice, right? Give everybody a chance. Even the little guys all have a chance every time they buy a booster pack to pull something big. And it's kind of the same in this. You, as a company, as the original company, sell them for a lower price, and if the public loves it enough and wants it enough, it becomes more valuable. I got a good example here. This Finch Reciprocity sold out pretty fast. It sold out within a couple weeks. I didn't know, long time ago, right? I didn't know much about Finch at the time, and I wasn't able to get one. But these are definitely worth more now because of how rare they are than they were when they first released. And that is a good example. Same with another Finch I got here, the Hellfire. Same thing. Rare knife. I'm sure this knife will be worth more than what I paid for it once they're fully sold out. But it even goes to show, I wonder if Smoky Mountain Knife Works is going to do the same thing. I wonder if this is going to sell out on the website. And if it sells out on the website, are they going to still have some for Whatnot? Because that is exactly what another company did with their knife. Their exclusive knife. And all of them do it. All of them sell their exclusives on Whatnot, which limits the amount that the public can get. A lot of times, I've not just seen it done with this. I've seen it done with other knives before they're even released to the website. Like, I don't know. It's putting a bad taste in my mouth. And that's why I kind of wanted to share it. I wanted to talk about it. I wanted to see if I'm the only one that's thinking this way or other people are thinking it. Because it seems to me these companies are finding a way around, for one, selling them for a MAP price, right? And for two, it's less stock and availability for the general public to have. And I don't think that's okay. Like, I'm hoping this isn't the route we're going. If this is the route we're going, we're going to start seeing knives that should cost $70 to $90 go for $150 all the time, and only half of the stock be released to the website and the other half of the stock be devoted for Whatnot. Oh no, you missed the drop, it sold out. Well, here's one for double the price. Even though we're the company that had it to begin with. We should be selling it for the low price, you know, for the price that we're definitely making money off of either way, because that's how it works, and we're not a shady company. But no, we're going to put them on Whatnot because we know they're going to sell them for twice the amount. We'll make twice the amount off our customers. One person can go to Whatnot and buy them all. Keep that in mind. Keep that. If you got some highball rich person in there that doesn't want anybody else to have any, they can go in there and bid and buy the ball. That is not fair. On the websites, you can 100% limit one purchase per household, one purchase per customer. They do that all the time for these exclusives. Can't do that on Whatnot. Nope. I did see one guy buy a bunch of the exact same knife one time. And I was like, wow, other people are probably sitting there like, I can't afford that. And he just kept being the highest bidder. There's another issue. I mean, I love that I got this knife early. And there's another cool thing about Whatnot. I was able to pick the one that I got. Like, I really like the resin on this one, this specific one. Things like resin are very, they're very different. Like, for example, this Best Techman here, if you look at this side, it's the same resin on both sides. Look how much pink is on this side. I like the red more with a little bit, maybe a pink thrown in. So I like this side. And this side's, you know, got a crap ton of pink. And I kind of like that. I kind of like that the pink was in the middle and red on both sides on the back. And then on the front, barely got any pink at all. I like that. And that's why I like this one. And that's another thing about Whatnot, is you can pick your exact one. But companies could get around that. They could post some specific looking models, or maybe post the best looking ones in individual pictures. My favorite seller, which is where I get this from, TPK, Traditional Pocket Knives. All the time, you can do two things. You can always message him and be like, hey, can you send me some pictures of some specific knives, and I want to pick one out of them. And he will. You can ask him for resin to look a certain way and stuff like that. He's my favorite knife company to buy knives from. White Mountain Knives is my second, because you can get an awesome code on there. I love that. And they have a great return policy, great customer service. Not that I have an issue with any of the other companies. I'm just saying the two companies that I personally like to buy from the most are TPK, Traditional Pocket Knives, and White Mountain Knives. But yeah, this rant on Whatnot, I think it holds a lot of merit. I'm seeing a lot of issues with it, and it kind of worries me about some sales going in the future. And it kind of worries me when all the knife companies are doing it. We just have a Whatnot show every day. If you miss a show, then you're going to miss a drop. And it worries me about the future. There have been already exclusive knives that have only came to companies selling on Whatnot only. There was a QSP and Shipwrecked Camo Carbon. And I didn't even know about it because it came to Whatnot. I wasn't on Whatnot yet. And Whatnot, keep in mind, Whatnot is like eBay, okay? Why do we have exclusives on Whatnot? That's not a knife selling company. That is a selling platform that knife companies can use. Why not put them on the website? On your website? I don't know. It's putting a bad taste in my mouth. And, I mean, I have bought knives on Whatnot. I was kind of new to it. I probably will continue to do so, because it feels like at this point I don't have a choice. But maybe we should speak up about this. Does anybody else agree with me that these are issues? If so, or if not, I'd like to hear your argument opposing me in the comments. Let me know what you think about selling on Whatnot. But that's going to be all for the rant today, guys. I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.